Hello, y'all, and welcome back to my channel, Kendall's Corner. Well, it's time to eat me a little dinner, and I made nachos tonight. As you can see, they are ground beef nachos. I have avocado, salsa, jalapeno peppers, black olives, romaine lettuce, and I think that is about it on them, but we can get it in. Of course, I got a little sippy in the cup, just a little cherry vodka actually mixed in with some cherry limeade. You gotta go slow on those, cause before you know it, you be loop-de-loop-de, cause it tastes so good. But anyway, y'all go ahead, go get your plates. Go ahead, go get your plates, get you something to drink. I'll give you a second or two. Y'all back? Got your stuff? All right, let's sit down. Well, let's say our grace and then let's eat. Bless us, O Lord, for these are gifts which we are about to receive through the bounties of Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. Y'all, I'm hungry and I was ready to eat. So let me get a couple bites and then we'll get into a little story time today, actually. Y'all. They are right on time. I'm so rude. I'm so rude. Let's see. Get y'all a nice good one. That's got a whole lot. There you go. There's a bite for you. Go ahead. Psych. Y'all know I'm greedy. But anyway, I hope everybody is doing good today. I can't complain. Our weather's switching up here, so it's kind of on the cooler side. I feel like my sinuses have been wanting to act up, then it'll seem like they go away, then they want to act up. I don't know what's going on. Woo, that's good. That's good right there. But anyway, I just wanted to come up here and give a little story time. So it's kind of out the blue, but I had a dream last night about a girlfriend of mine. She was, God, probably 10, 15 years older than me. We were hanging out when I was probably about late 20s, and at that point she had to be in her 40s. Anyway, she passed away in God, was it 07? No, excuse me, in 03. And I hope I got the year right, 03, 04, something like that. But she died from breast cancer. And so I don't know if maybe she popped up in my dreams because this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I had agreed because I was challenged by my lovely mommy and me and Vibes with Chola to represent on each day for breast cancer awareness, which I have done, and as well in my prayers in the morning, which is my most calm time. I've been praying for all breast cancer victims and all families that have been affected by this horrible disease. And so every day she's popped in my mind. And mind you, I do have a picture hanging up of her near my door. Just because I love that specific picture of us, and she always meant a lot to me. As I said, she was, a lot older than me, but she was originally from New York, and we had the same last name. My birth last name is Thomas. She was a Thomas. And she had a daughter that was approximately around my age, but her daughter still lived in New York, and we were actually in North Carolina at that time. And they 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 had their ups and downs in their relationship, for reasons that I don't know completely, um, but I do know that she loved her daughter. um, but we had a lot of good times. Like, we used to get toe down. We'd be at the house. Like, we really used to have a good time. She was so sweet and so loving. And when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, um, well, back up some. She had noticed a lump in her breast, and then I forget how long after that she finally went to the doctor and she was diagnosed. Um, and I had moved away. Mm, and then I had come back. So we kind of just picked up where we left off. And I remember how miserable she used to be when she would have to do her chemo. She had a beautiful head of hair, um, gorgeous woman. And she lost her hair. Um, and she actually had to have one breast removed, and she was very top heavy. So those things really affected her. I'm talking slow because I don't want to start to cry. Um, but she, she held on. And then I remember a couple years had gone by, and I had come over to visit her. I'll never forget, it was around February, and she had gone to New York. It might have been, it was either January or February. And her and her daughter had gotten in a better place, of course, after she got sick. But she had been in New York quite a bit visiting, because by that time she had a grandchild. And she came home, and it was time for her to start another chemotherapy session. And I went to visit, and I remember her telling me, and she wasn't crying, but she just said no longer was she doing chemo. She couldn't go through it again. Her hair just started growing back so pretty, and it just made her so sick. And I remember telling her, I was like, Cheryl, you have to do this. This may help you. And she was just like, she, period, just point blank, did not want to do it anymore. It took a really bad toll on her body, which I've heard that, from other people as well. And, I mean, there was no talking her out of it. She had already made her decision, and she wasn't doing it anymore. Well, sad to say, by that July, she passed away. When she went to the hospital, well, mind you, I've never been good with stuff like this. I'm a big crybaby. I don't like to see people sick. I don't like hospitals. The smells in hospitals, they make me sick. I just don't like them at all. But her sister called me. And her sister said, Kendall, it's not looking good. So on this specific day, she said, if you want to see her before she goes, then you need to come today. So I called my mom, and my mom took me to the hospital. And I remember when I walked into the room, and she couldn't really say anything. The whites of her eyes were fluorescent looking, where jaundice, I think it was taking over, because everything was starting to shut down on her. And she kind of was doing like grunts. Now, mind you, her daughter was here. I had never met her daughter, but over the years, I believe, being that Cheryl had spoke of me often and she knew that we spent a lot of time together, there may have been a small jealousy that had formed just because that was her mom. So I never addressed it or said anything, but while I was in the room and I was just holding her hand and, telling her how much I loved her and, things like that. And she was breathing very heavily. And so I kind of in my heart knew that she was aware. She could see me. She knew I was there. And my mom was sort of standing behind me. And a nurse walked in. And told me that I needed to leave the room. Well, I found out in the end that it was her daughter. She said that she needed everybody out of the room. Mind you, she didn't go in the room. Nobody was in the room at that specific time. And I remember getting so angry, like I wanted to fight. I wanted to put my paws on her daughter. Because as I was standing outside in the hallway crying, I was just waiting for someone else to go in. But no one did. How could anybody allow anyone that they've loved, especially a parent, to be alone at a time like that? Ugh. Like when I think about it now, still to this day, I haven't seen the bee. But if I saw her today, I'd probably still want to punch her in her face. But anyway, she passed away within the next hour or so. And all I could always think about was all the good times and laughs that we shared. I remember we used to exercise together because we used to live together at one time. And as I said, she was a very top heavy. And we would be on our backs and we were going to do some sit-ups and stuff. And it's so funny because her breasts were so huge, they would just fall to the side. And oh my God, we could like never complete our exercises because these boobs were always in her way. Oh, we used to laugh. We had so many good times. But in the end, I knew that she didn't want to live suffering anymore. And so I knew it was time to let her go. But it's funny because people, there's some people in our world that don't believe in things. And I don't know who I was talking to or making a comment on someone's post or something the other day, or on their video. And, I do believe in spirits because I've had several instances in my life where I was visited by someone that had passed, or I saw things prior to them happening. And after Cheryl passed, it hurt me. Whew. It was a lot for me to deal with. And I just could never get her off of my mind. And I used to, always question why, I was always so worried about her still being alone. Well, this had to be several months after her passing. Oh, before I even go there, that's where I get my love of leopard print from her. So everything that you'll see around me, or my friends know that I have leopard print up in my house, it's all because of her. Well, I had a beautiful flower piece made, the ones that you actually stick in the ground to go to her, to be on her grave site. And it had the leopard ribbons and stuff on it. Well, after the funeral and after the burial, the daughter took mine that I had made off of her grave. You bitch. And she had never had one conversation with me. Never. But anyway, so months after Cheryl had passed, like I said, I thought about her every day. I cried at least one time every day. But I remember I went to sleep one night, and she was heavy on my mind, and I had a dream. And in my dream, I had this beautiful home where you walked in the front door and there was this huge staircase that you had to walk down. It was gorgeous, like I was rich. And me and Cheryl used to always have conversations, and we used to say one day we were going to both meet the man of our dreams, and we were going to have beautiful homes and stuff like that. So in my dream, I was in my beautiful home, and my doorbell rang, and it was Cheryl. Now, mind you, I knew that she wasn't one of the living because she was sort of hoovering, I don't know the word. I'm not the brightest crown in the box. But, she wasn't standing directly on the floor. And I was just so happy to see her. And I was like, oh my God, Cheryl, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. Look at my house. And I remember beside me, there was this like really large vase, that probably stood 4 feet tall, that you would put these humongous flowers. And I was like, look at this beautiful vase and look at this beautiful house. And she was smiling, and she put her hand on my shoulder. And she said, I see all the beautiful things you have. She said, but I'm not here for that. And I said, well, what is it, Cheryl? What is it? And she said, I'm here to let you know that I'm fine. I'm not going to start crying. Okay, let's get together. She said, I'm fine. She said, I feel wonderful. She said, I'm no longer sick. She said, but I'm also here to tell you that Tony is going to be fine. And I was like, huh, Tony, what? What? And she was like, I gotta go now. And I remember I was like, no, don't leave. I was like, don't leave, don't leave yet. Let me show you the house. And she was like, no, I gotta go. She said, but just remember, Tony's gonna be fine. So, I guess I woke up. And I was like, what? I was happy, because I felt like, okay, she's all right. She's not alone. And, but I kept saying, Tony, who is Tony? I don't know a Tony. So then I thought about it. I said, well, I have an Aunt Tony by marriage that lives probably, at that point, she lived about 20 minutes from where me and my mom in the city that, my family lived in. And so I can't remember if I called my mother or I went over there. And I told her the dream that I had had. And so I wanted to think that my mom called my Aunt Tony to double check on her or whatever, and everything was fine. So I was still like, I don't understand. But Tony, what did that mean? So I forget if it was that day or the next day. I went to her sister's house to say hello, because I would sometimes go over there because she's buried over near where her sister lived. So I would go over to the gravesite sometimes and clean it off. And like I used to put up a little Christmas tree, just little stuff like that. But anyway, I was after the fact. But anyway, I told her sister, while I was visiting her, just checking in on her, I said, I had an odd dream the other day. And I want to tell you about it because it had to do with Cheryl. So I told her. And instantly after I said that, she said that Tony's going to be all right. She got up and ran to the back, and she was crying. And so I remember sitting in her living room for a while, and then she finally came back out. And she said, oh my God, Kendall, she said, Cheryl was definitely speaking to you. And I said, what does it mean? And they had a friend that they had all grown up with, probably close like a sister, and she was very, very sick. She was in the hospital, and it was to the point that they were as well expecting her not to make it, too much longer. So I said, okay. I said, well, Cheryl says she's going to be all right. And, it was still this confusement, like, no, she's not. She's going to pass. So anyway, so I left. Within a couple of days, her sister called me. And she said, Kendall, she said, I can't believe this. She said, and I don't know if you'll believe this. She said, but our friend Tony just walked out of the hospital completely healed. It was like a miracle. The doctors couldn't believe it within a couple of days. So spirits are real. I sometimes sit, like I said, and I think about her, but I always feel like she's there and she's like my guardian angel. Well, one of those that I have. That was a kind of hard story to get out. um, but I guess it's just to say that when loved ones do pass or friends do pass, they're always there with you. They are. And we have to completely believe in our hearts that one day we all will meet again. And things are going to be dandy as long as we live right here on earth. So that's why I attempt to be kind to others. I attempt to care for others because I want to make it up there in heaven where she's at so I can hug her again. So here again, to all the breast cancer victims, survivors, families that have been affected, I keep you in constant prayer, and I won't be just doing it for the month of October, but I'll be doing it forever. May all family members and friends that have lost loved ones due to this horrible, horrible disease, I hope that they can come to you and give you the confirmation that they're okay, like Cheryl did me. All right, y'all. As you can see, I cleaned my plate and my story time is over. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you really like your girl, click the notification bell so you can be notified every time I post up. But until then, these are tears of joy. But be blessed, because I sure am.